You're listening to Behind the Mic, and we're capping our week of all things Audie with our conversation about another finalist in science fiction with Emily Connelly.
I'm very excited to talk today about Lake of Souls, the collected short fiction written by Ann Leckie and narrated by Adjoa Andoh. And it is an earphones winner, which is no surprise given that Adjoa is a golden voice narrator.
Indeed.
And she's a frequent narrator of Ann Leckie's work, and I love it every time. So it's really so lucky to get to hear this collection.
And this is Ann Leckie's first collection of short stories, as far as I know.
I think so, and I think probably for most of the stories in it, the first time you can hear them on audio. It's a collection of different science fiction and fantasy stories. Some are set in the sort of universes that she's known for, the Imperial Radch sci-fi series, and also Raven Tower fantasy series or fantasy book. She has stories in that world, but it also starts out with a bunch of standalone stories that have been published elsewhere and one that was first published in this book. And it's great getting to hear them all together. There's some that are long, more than an hour, some that are
Oh,
maybe
wow.
8 minutes long, an interesting mix of different ideas. And yeah, just fascinating to listen to.
How does it hang together as a book?
I think getting to hear, because you know how sometimes in collections they have lots of different narrators? I think it really helps having Adjoa narrate the whole thing because
Interesting.
she's a great, you know, line of continuity for all these different stories. And you get to hear her really flex her narration skills. She has characters that are, there's a lot of human characters, there's a lot of not human characters, there's aliens, there's people talking through translation devices in a really stilted way. There's just so much going on in the story. So getting to hear it all from from her voice helped me a lot and made it a really interesting listen.
Yeah, she's incredibly good at creating a tapestry of voices, I think. And, and she knows Anne's work so well.
Yes, I know. And so she knows all these different, what does it sound like when someone's from this world? And what does it sound like
Exactly.
when someone's from this world? And the very first story was so interesting to me. It was a new novelette, they called it Lake of Souls, which is the title of the book. And in that one, you meet two different characters. You have these two different point of view characters, one who's a person and one who's also a person that's actually not human, but actually like a lobster dog kind of looking creature living on this planet. So you have these two very different points of view characters who meet each other and make a connection. And yeah, it was an interesting story. And I think a lot of Anne's work, she's thinking about what does it mean to be a person? How do you define humanity?
Well, why don't we hear a little bit? Do you need to set this up?
Sure. So this is part of that first story, Lake of Souls, and you're hearing from that sort of lobster dog character.
Okay. This is Lake of Souls, the collected short fiction. It's by Ann Leckie, read by Adjoa Andoh.
One day old Darter Spine came over to where Spawn sat by the waterside and said, "What are you doing, little Spawn, little egg? You aren't a larva any more. You're a nymph. Only one more molt until adulthood. It won't be long, little Spawn, before you feel the next molt coming on. And what will your name be? What shape will your soul take? The mothers are worried about you, little egg, staring all day into the lake." "Why worry?" asked Spawn. "My soul will be what it is." And would have said more, but there were no words to describe the pull of the lake bottom. Spawn wanted more and more to walk out into the water, sink down into the depths of the lake, burrow into the mud, dark and cold and solitary. "Little egg, little Spawn," said Darter Spine. "Our souls enter into our eggs, the gift of the Lake of Souls, but we also make them what they are."
You can see why she has a golden voice. I haven't listened to a book narrated by her in a bit, and I really love her voice. I really, really miss it.
I know.
And she just narrated Americana by Chimamanda Adichie, which I'm definitely going to listen to.
I had last summer, I listened to her newest in the Radch universe, and I loved it so much. It was like, I can't actually listen to anything else except something else that she's narrated in that universe. So I found an older book that I hadn't
Yeah,
listened to yet.
she's
It's like,
addictive.
I just can't leave that yet.
Okay, that is Lake of Souls, the collected short fiction by Ann Leckie, read by Adjoa Andoh. Audie Awards are next Tuesday, so here's what's going on next week. On Monday, we'll look back at our conversation about a finalist for Audiobook of the Year, Playground by Richard Powers, and it is an outstanding multicast production. Then Michelle Cobb joins me for the rest of the week to talk about the Audies Gala and the big winners. You won't want to miss it. Behind the Mic is produced by Jessica Lockhart. Robin Witten, Michelle Cobb, Leslie Fine, Alan Minskoff, and Kendra Winchester are our contributors. Jennifer Dahl is our editor, and the music is William Ross Chernoff's Nomads 4-Way. And I'm your host, Jo Reed. Good listening.